Guys, what's up? There seems to be a never-ending supply of cantaloupe juice in my house. I don't know if you guys have the same obsessions as me, but when I start to like something, I have it a lot. And I'm having cantaloupe juice like every single day. It is so delicious. It's so good. Anybody else love cantaloupe juice? All you do is put it in the blender and blend it up. It's so easy. Okay, so welcome to the show today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ruman. That is very nice of you. Ina, I know you know what I'm talking about. Pure cantaloupe juice. Oh my goodness. Okay, so today we are talking to my friend, Professor Spira. We're going to be talking about the Great Mucoid Plaque Debate. I don't know why, but I think I have something on my lip. Yeah, okay, sorry. I don't know why, but so many people try to say that mucoid plaque does not exist. Does anybody know why there is such a debate about this? Like, why are people so angry about mucoid plaque, whether it exists or not? I don't know. Maybe you know. Professor Spear is here. So yeah, it's a very debatable topic. Mucoid plaque, mucus in general. I don't know why. Some people say it doesn't exist. I know it exists, and I have Professor Spira who knows it exists as well. And we're gonna break down everything to do with mucus in the body. So I'm excited to bring him in. Thank you guys so much for being here. Let me bring him in. Hey.
Hey, what's going on? This is
I was scared you forgot. The service is not great. The service is not great. But I'm sure you're getting to better service, perhaps, right? Mm.
You
Little,
can't hear me.
little,
You
little,
can't.
but it's not the best service. Professor Spear forgot about me. That's what happened.
No.
The Wi-Fi is not ideal.
Oh,
It's not ideal. Oh, the
not
lecture went out.
electric.
Oh, whoa, no way.
Let's see.
Let's see if
Yeah, this is.
good internet. Hmm.
I'm gonna try to
Maybe go out and come
try to
back
see.
in.
Yeah, I'm trying to like walk to some place that has better service.
Yeah. Whoa, what happened? You had a storm? We kind of lost him. Okay, guys, I just want you to know what is coming up today in this episode. We are going to be talking about what are the symptoms that you have mucus overload, okay, toxemia in the body caused by mucus. We're going to be talking about, I have a feeling he's going to go out and come back in. We're going to be talking about what causes mucus, the foods you do not want to eat, okay, the foods that help to dissolve the mucus, and also we're going to talk about how long all this takes and why it is so important. Can you guys hear me? I don't really know what's going on. Oh, thank God, Sherry's here. Sherry, can you hear me and see me? I don't really know what people can hear and what people can see right now, but I'm just letting everybody know what the episode will be about. Yeah, it's going to be all about this book that changed my life. It's called The Mucusless Diet Healing System, and this book is so powerful. It is so incredible. Okay, yeah, he cut off, and he's going to come back in. So let me let you guys know about this book. It was written, I believe, in 1910 by somebody named Professor Arnold Ehret, and he traveled all around the world helping people to heal from their diseases, and he was definitely killed. Okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. Some people speculate that he might have been killed, like he slipped on ice and died. Yeah, right. No way. What's up, Tessa Boo? What's up? So, Professor Arnold Ehret was ahead of his time, and he discovered, and he was the first person to publicly say what causes disease in the body. And every single disease starts with mucus. Every single disease in the body starts with mucus. Do you recommend avocado? Well, that's a great question. I personally do have avocado every once in a while, but it is actually a mucus forming food. And I'm not saying you should never eat avocado, because I don't want you to get crazy. Okay, a big part of being healthy, as I always talk about, is to be what's the word? Like lenient with yourself, to be what's the word, guys? Flexible. Okay, to be flexible in your lifestyle and in your diet. And can you guys all hear me good? Hoppy mommy, what's up, boo? Hoppy, I'm not sure how to say that, but I appreciate you. You were there on Saturday, and I appreciate you. So let me get more comfortable. Professor Spear is going to come back and join us, I think. I hope. I think so. And until then, I will continue telling you guys how this has changed my life. So avocado is a fruit, but it is over 70% fat. And so fat does cause mucus to form in the body. Now, do we need to eat fat? Professor Spear says no, and Arnold Ehret also says no. There is no such thing as an omega fatty acid deficiency, so perhaps we don't need to eat fat. But what we do need to eat is an abundance of cantaloupe juice. Am I right? Sorry, I just wanted some. Oh my God. Guys, all you do, and I just have cantaloupe everywhere in all forms. Okay, I'm a very simple person. This is how I eat. So I eat and I drink cantaloupe. That's all I do. Right now, so I bought a bunch because they were super cheap and really good. And you know they're good when you smell them. If you smell a cantaloupe and it smells good, buy it. Buy it, boo. And these were like 88 cents each, which is crazy. All you do is cut off the skin and put the inside into a blender, blend it up. Oh my God. Please make sure your cantaloupes are in the fridge though. You want them to be in the fridge before you do that, because you want it to be cold. Like smoothies need to be cold. Oh my God, thank you guys so much for being here. So my friend Professor Spira is a little bit late because I believe his electricity went out. Something happened with electricity, but he will be joining us any minute now. And we are going to be discussing mucoid plaque, baby, a very sexy, sexy topic. But it's important because if you have an abundance of mucoid plaque, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to look good. Your skin's going to break out. You're going to have acne. You're going to have excess weight. You're going to get sick all the time. You're going to not feel good. And by the way, hopefully you still live in Miami by the time. Yeah, when are you moving here, boo? Let's go to the beach. I need some more people to go to the beach with. I'm always by myself at the beach, and I just see all these people having fun and stuff, and I'm just like, I need some friends in real life, because I have a lot of friends online. I have a lot of raw vegan friends online, but not in real life. Greetings from Dubai. The book. What do you need to eat, please, or what's best? Yeah. Well, when Professor Spira gets here, we will talk exactly about what to eat. Spira's here? I didn't see him. Wait a minute. The books, there's 2 books. No, Professor Spira's not here. Not that I see. There's one, which is the original, the Mucusless Diet Healing System. And number 2 is the annotated version, which I highly, highly recommend. What's up, Fruity Project? Oh, yeah, wait. Who's Fruity Project? Did I meet you at the chiropractor? You sound familiar. Okay, Professor Spira is here. Sherry was right, of course. I recommend Professor Spira's version because he breaks it down into modern day English. He gives you all the lists of all the food that has the most mucus, a moderate amount of mucus, and causes the least amount of mucus in the body. It's not that these foods have mucus, it's that they cause mucus. Let's break it down. Hopefully he has better service. What's up, Fruit Hunter? Yo, Fruit Hunter is the truth. That guy is the truth, let me tell you. I want to do a live with you, Fruit Hunter. Okay, let's try this again. Okay.
All right, what's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah. How's it going? What's going on? Everything okay?
man, this is like, y'all are all comfortable down there in Miami. Like, we're up here with like a blackout. There's like 200,000 outages, or it was like over 1 million, I think, in the whole Midwest. It was like really bad. What was that? Bad storms and stuff last night, like all over the place. And so we weren't hit, but then all of a sudden, at like an hour before we're supposed to go, it's like it's all out. And so I had to jump. I thought I could maybe walk behind my house, like go and the electric, like it would get better, the better signal, but no. Yeah, and so because I think the electric out probably also messed with some of the towers and all that kind of stuff, and so yeah, so I had to drive. I'm just driving up to the main road and where I have some decent decent connection up here, but all the traffic lights, they're all out.
Where are you?
And so I'm in Columbus, Ohio.
Wow, I had no idea. I don't watch the news, so I had no idea.
Yeah, it's it's been a long time since we had an outage around here, but yeah, it was like right before it was time to go live, and then because for whatever reason, even though I'm pretty close to the city, but it's like where my house is doesn't have the 4G is like really weak, and so I usually will use my Wi-Fi, which is pretty strong, if I'm in the house. But yeah, I'm here now. Made it, and yeah.
Thank you so much. You see what Professor Spear will do to get the message out there? Do you guys see what he's willing to do? That's why he's successful. That's why he has the book, guys. He's willing to put his life on the line for you guys. Okay?
Yeah.
I want to start, Spira, I want to start with this mucoid plaque debate, which I can't personally understand. Do you have what is your thoughts on why certain doctors claim that it doesn't exist? There's such a debate. I don't know why people are offended. Do you have any?
I think it's mostly because people, they don't take detox seriously, or cleansing, or fasting, and colon irrigation, and all of those dynamics that's a part of the system and any kind of just natural healing. They don't consider that, and so and because without that, you're not going to see a lot of that. You're not going to see the mucoid plaque coming out. You're not going to see that, or you can name it something else. It's like some people, they had a problem with the name, and then then you can call it slimy strings, colon slime. We can call it whatever we want to call it, but yeah, I think that it's just that there's so much constipation in the medical establishment, the medical field, allopathic medicine, whatever you want to call it. It's just really it's just backwards. It's just so backward, and they're always trying to. It's like one of the ways that they confuse people and get with the whole misinformation kind of stuff. They're pretty good at combining a little bit of truth with something that's totally whack, and then for the mainstream audience, that keeps them, that puts them off, and so they've done that with naturopathy, natural healing. So they'll bring in something. They'll try to put us next to something else that the mainstream would never take to. And I'll give an example, which is real popular now, and there's probably some people chiming in, and they'll not like this, but I'm sorry, I'm not on board with drinking urine. I apologize. You're not going to get me doing, people say, oh, Spirit, you're so close-minded. I'm surprised at you. You're like, no, because that's one of those things where they're going to associate us with something that, even if you just deal with the mucusless diet, is ridiculous. You're not getting anything out of drinking waste. If your kidneys are filtering properly, then you're drinking clouded mucus and stuff, stuff like that. And so, but more and more I'm seeing that, and these things kind of happen in cycles. And so this is sort of the urine cycle right now where people are into that, but it's always something like that. And so they try to discredit what does work, the fasting and the fruit eating, and they try to discredit that however they can. And so that's that's what you talk about. These doctors, they don't know anything about the mucoid plaque and that stuff, because again they're not recommending that their people go and do colon irrigation and enemas and eat broom salads and that kind of stuff. They're giving them some some Tylenol or penicillin or whatever, and get on your way, or like come on in and let's cut on you a little bit. And because that's how bizarre and backwards it is when they call us crazy because we do some enemas, some lemon juice and distilled water in the rectum just to clear out that slime. But they'll say that that's extreme and crazy and weird, and then they'll go and they'll cut on somebody. They even have a word, routine surgery. Surgery is not supposed to be routine. There's instances in very emergency situations where it's good to have a surgeon on the, in the camp, but not routine. You don't need that. But that's what it is. It's just everything's so backward, and it's something as simple, because people start getting the mucoid plaque out pretty quick when you know what you're doing the right thing. And so it shouldn't be such a weird thing. Because then the other thing that they try to do is, because a lot of the people that promote that talk about mucoid plaque, they promote pretty aggressive these different things that, like the bentonite clay and the charcoals and all that kind of stuff, basically like supplements that's supposed to help get it and move it out. And that's, there's a place for some of that, but I didn't do any of that. And I was getting plenty of mucoid plaque out just with Mucus's Diet Healing System and lemon juice and distilled water enemas. And so, but the detractors there will say, well, no, it's the clay. It's the stuff that this person took, that's what created the mucoid plaque. And so that's how they'll try to discredit it from that angle. But either way, it's what I tell people is just, okay, well, do what we're talking about, and then when it comes out, you can call it something else.
It's funny you brought that up. I have these questions to ask you, but you've already answered. I wanted to know if you use the clay, if you use the stuff. Okay. So we have a few questions already. I want to just ask real quick, randomly from people watching. So Strawberry Lime Vegan wants to know, can you please give us some IBS tips? Is IBS just mucoid plaque, Spira?
Well, it's just chronic constipation, but on a cellular level. When we use the word constipation, we're not just talking about backed up bowels, which is pretty much standard in most places around the world, but cellular constipation. So over time, as you eat pus and mucus forming foods, that's what we're talking about today, pus and mucus forming foods that degrade into this slimy, sticky, gluey mess that is not totally eliminated. Because then people come and say, well, what about my stomach acid? Doesn't that, if I eat a bunch of meat and a bunch of rice, doesn't that take care of it? It takes care of some of it, but not all of it. And when you compound that over years and years of this slimy residue that builds up over years and years and over time, you get to a point where you're getting cellularly constipated. So you're not, if you're into absorption of things, you're not absorbing what you're supposed to. The whole lining is just this acidic slime. And that's why there's just the chronic cases of colon cancer. That's not supposed to be normal. That's super normal right now. Why? Because just years of this acid waste sitting in there in the colon. And so it's real simple. Clean the colon out, fruits and vegetables, colon irrigation, short-term fasting, and boom, before you know it, this stuff is out of you. You have 15 pounds less of uneliminated fecal matter is now out of your body. And remarkably, you feel better. It's a surprise, but yeah, you feel better when you get like the 20 pounds of uneliminated fecal matter out of your body. A lot of symptoms tend to go away.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Absolutely. Quick question. So I have never seen mucoid plaque leave my body specifically. Is it possible that it can come out slowly, or you need to see like ropes coming out?
No, I mean there's still it can be, though, if you were to go and study your feces, like some of us, we're like into that. We always study what's going on with the bowel movements, But inside it, encased inside the feces, there can be the strings of mucus in there. So not every time, but especially if you're getting a little more aggressive in terms of a more mucus-free diet or the detox kind of stuff, or a fast. I mean, it's particularly, if you really want to see it, you would do like a short-term fast. I don't promote long-term fasting unless you're ready. That's like a personal choice. But the methodology that Eric talks about, the mucusless diet and rational fasting, is short-term, so 24-hour fast. And these are like juice fasts or lemon juice fasts, so they're attainable. But when you do that and you combine that with lemon juice and distilled water enemas, after a couple of days, the slime stuff, because you have to remove the stuff out of there first. When you really want to get like a good mucoid plaque elimination, the best ones tend to come, if you haven't had them before, the best ones tend to come when you do a fast and you do enemas during a fast. Because you first clear out the GI tract of any residues that was in there, and gives the body the opportunity, or the intestines and the colon opportunity, to kind of just move this sludge. It just kind of secretes the sludge, moves it around. If there's any other stuff in there that's caught, because you'll get like decades old feces stones that are caught in the little grooves, the little spots in the colon and intestines. And so with the broom salads and the fruits and the enemas, you just move that stuff out of there. But yeah, that's that. It's definitely, there can definitely be some mucus that's in your regular feces. But when you're talking about just the strings by themselves, you can definitely get a lot of that out, particularly when you're fasting and doing the enemas at the same time.
Thank you so much for answering that. That was my specific question. We do have a lot of questions to get to. Guys, if you really want your question answered, please questions section that I know for sure where it is, because there's been a lot of questions. I just want to say hi to Chef AJ, who's watching. I love you. So now I just want to ask you about what of the best foods. So say people don't want to fast because of work, because of their lifestyle. What are some of the best foods that people can eat in order to start to eliminate this mucus that has been forming in their body since birth?
So fruits and green leafy vegetables are the best. That's the primary. Now, I'm a huge advocate of what we call a transition diet. In the Mucusless Diet Healing System book, lessons 15, 16, and 17 are transition diet sections. And there's a lot of people that seem to ignore those sections or think they're better than that or whatever. And so they try to skip over elements of the transition, and it makes it really hard for them. It makes it harder than it needs to be. And a lot of those are the people that end up, they'll try to call it a crash diet or yo-yo, or they'll be like, okay, I'm all raw and I'm fruit and I'm this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden they're beyond, they doing one of those hostage video thing, the ex-vegan. That's going to be a movement, unfortunately, now, the ex-vegan hostage video where they just feel so passionate. Like I have to warn everybody, don't eat fruits and vegetables, eat raw meat. Come on, I couldn't do it because I couldn't do it because I ignored the transition diet means that nobody should do it. So it's like that's frustrating because, and there's a number of those people that I literally at some point, if they were in the community, I reached out to them and told them, like, why don't you just transition? Like, you don't have to be 100% raw. You don't have to be 100% mucus free. That's not what it's about. That's not what's in the book. But they're really kind of hard-headed about it. And then before you know it, now they're, eating raw liver every day.
Liver King. Yeah. Hashtag Liver King. Is that guy real?
Yeah.
Is that guy real or is he acting?
I don't know. I think he's real. But with a lot of those kind of guys, what ends up happening is you see them for a while. All of a sudden they disappear. They'll be on social media, and they disappear and be like, "Dang, what happened to Liver King?" And be like, and then it'll leak that he had a stroke or heart attack or something. And,
he needed a liver transplant. He needed a
liver transplant. Yeah, okay. That'd be great.
So I want to, first of all, I love your point about the lack of transition. I was just talking about this to my friend Matt from Raw Intuition. We're talking about that's the ego. That's the ego, wanting to just be 100% raw, eat the best, be the best, not transitioning. It's so important. It's very rare that you will find someone who did not transition who was a long-term healthy vegan. I got lucky, okay? And we got lucky because I found this information, but a lot of people don't know it. A lot of people think they can just dive in and they can just like go 100% fruitarian overnight. And it's not going to work, really. It's usually not going to work. So, okay, let's go back to the mucus debate. So thank you so much for everyone who's here. And we do have a lot of questions. All right, let me get to some. Can mucoid plaque come out of phlegm, Spira?
Well, you wouldn't call it that because phlegm is usually just the mucus in the lungs and the upper respiratory and that kind of stuff coming out, that stuff in the lungs, that green stuff. But it's related. It's all related, because I should make the distinction between there's the mucus from uneliminated as the fluid that the body produces that from the lymphatic system that we also call mucus. There's a relationship there, and that's that we can get a little deeper into that, but it's not the same thing. So when you have that stuff coming out of the lungs, that's just hardcore stagnant lymph. Your lymph system is stagnant. Why? Because of mucus forming foods, of acid foods, acidic foods. So things that cause, so it's almost like you got two things going on. On one hand, you got the uneliminated mucus and slime from the mucus forming foods that help the body to overall become more acidic, more constipated. But then you also, then that creates a chain reaction that can cause you to then have all of this this buildup of fluid and from your lymphatic system not filtering properly and moving properly, because we got two major fluids, as Dr. Morris would say. We got blood and lymph fluid. We talk about blood all day, but very rarely, unless you're in our camps, do you talk about lymph and lymph fluid. And with the blood is pumping through the body. What's pumping the lymph?
And there's 4 times as much lymph fluid than blood. So
right.
Why doesn't the medical community talk about lymphatic?
You would think, and they're so clueless for that, like that. And what we're talking, once you start talking about just the lymphatic system and the mucus and, white blood corpuscles, I mean, you start getting into that kind of, you can't have any conversation with them. Like, it's just, there's no connection. When you're in the realm of food and nutrition and that kind of stuff, you can still have some conversations with people in the medical field and you'll agree to disagree, but you can go to medical journals and find the studies that talk about red meat causes cancer and osteoporosis and dairy and all that. Like, that's there. But when you start getting into this kind of the deeper elements of how the body is actually healing itself and cleansing itself, they're lost. Like, I mean, they're just, and if any of them figure it out, they have to leave the profession and then go out on their own and do, be like a detox specialist or something, because have a private membership association where they can not, be attacked by those evil entities for, actually helping people heal, as opposed to just giving them suppressants and chemicals and things that just in the long run just harm them.
Yeah, a patient cured is a patient lost. Absolutely. We have a question about, so many questions. Okay, I don't know which one to answer. Okay, so Helnin wants to know, why don't you recommend long fasts?
So it's one of those things where I feel like it's important for me as somebody that's promoting and trying to educate people on these paths to gain a mastery of the fundamentals first, because very few people teach that and promote that out here. Because if they did, I wouldn't, because I'm a musician, I want to go play music, but it's like there's a need to talk about this because nobody else does. And so things like because you can master, if you master the 24-hour fasting methods, because it's not just like, okay, I stopped eating and now I'm eating again. It's like the transition into the fast, what you choose to use. If you're using some kind of liquid and you're doing enemas or whatever, you're cleaning yourself out, getting really in tune with your body of how it functions during the fasting process. And you learn that when you do the 24-hour fast, the 48-hour fast, and you build up that experience so that because I always tell people, like, do the short-term fast, and then so that you're prepared when your body demands that you do a longer fast, you're ready. You don't have to think about it. And what does that mean, that your body demands a longer fast? When you have a cold and flu-like symptom, people act like, oh, well, that you shouldn't get that if you're eating right. You got generations of waste and crap that you need to eliminate. Your body, that's like a blessing. When you have a functioning endocrine system enough to be able to get a fever, to have, that's like speeding up the elimination process. But you can't force that. Your body decides that. Your body's intelligence. It decides when, because you don't want to force, a fever or force that, but once it's there, you want to be ready. And so, and I've seen it where people, they want to do all these fasts, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this 14-day cleanse, all this kind of stuff. And they get a fever, and it's like, well, now it's actually time to fast. They don't want to. They're resistant. They're all mad and like, I don't feel good, and I'm just going to eat. Well, it's like, well, yeah, well, now your elimination is going to last like 2 times longer, because instead of just listening to your body and like, okay, I'm going to go lay down, then do an enema and lay down and just sleep and just go through this elimination, they don't do that. And so that's one of the reasons. I mean, there's more. I talk a lot about that because it's true that a lot of us have done really long fasts. I mean, I learned a lot and gained a lot of insight doing that. Brother Air he pretty much, it's not even fasting. That's just how he lives now. He rarely eats anything, during a year. He might eat for a month or something. But I don't want to like promote that, because then people that have no business fasting like that, they want to do it. It's that monkey see, monkey do thing. And people do it all over like YouTube, where they're like, yeah, I'm doing this long fast, this kind of thing. And it's like, and I've never been someone that really does a lot of that. And on one hand, it's like, okay, I get it. It's inspirational and it's showing people like the work that you're doing. But there's definitely a people that then try to do it without studying the principles and the rules, and so they end up, a lot of them have bad experiences because they didn't need to do that. They didn't need to do a long fast. They needed to do the short term, and so yeah.
Yeah, we have another question. My tonsils were removed as a child. Does that impact my lymphatic system? And if so, what can I do about it?
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's something that's removed, they like to remove that stuff, and they'll remove, tonsils and lymph nodes and spleen, not spleen, but like gallbladders and stuff, and it's like something that detox could have helped, but if it's there, you can still, you basically just, you'll be fine. I mean, you can still do this, you can keep cleansing, and really it's even more important for you, because those are, when they remove things, we look at these different organs and glands and things, of their elimination properties. And so there's things that they're like, oh, we don't know what that does. Well, I mean, it's helping elimination on some level. And but if it's not there, you just got to keep the lymph moving. You shouldn't really feel, as long as you're eating mucus-free. Now, if you start to eat a lot of acidic foods and start to get constipated, then your symptoms might be worse than somebody else's.
Oh, we have a bad connection. Not ideal. Can you hear me? I think he cut off. Well, if you guys can still hear me, I am going to get to all the questions, I promise. But I wanted to bring up, since he has bad service, I will answer one of the questions about quinoa. So basically, okay, yeah, so he lost service. That's okay. So quinoa is in the book as one of the grains, thank you, Sherry, that are moderately mucus forming. Okay, and so yes, I would say quinoa is healthy depending on where you are in your transition. Now, if you're somebody who's eating 100% raw vegan for years and years and years, perhaps quinoa is going to cause major issues. I know that I cannot eat quinoa. I mean, I can mix it in a salad, a little bit of quinoa, but any more than a little bit, and especially without salad, I'm going to be extremely, extremely thirsty the next day. And so somebody asked, what book is this? This is the Mucusless Diet Healing System, the annotated version of the original Arnold Ehret book. Okay, and so I'm sure Professor Spear will come back on when he can. And I just wanted to find quinoa in exactly where it is on the list, because he has an amazing list in this book of all of the pus and mucus forming foods, the highly mucus forming, the moderately mucus forming, and the no mucus forming. And nutritional yeast is on the list of moderately mucus forming foods. Look at that. Yeah. Acid forming stimulants include soy sauce, oh, okay, Professor Spear is back. I hope I stalled good enough. But yes, quinoa is much healthier than many, many foods on earth. So, okay. Yeah.
All right, my phone overheated because it's like, I don't know if we're like the same temperature as you guys or what, but like, because it's like 112 degrees here.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You
so
got all going on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just get to everybody's question real quick. So somebody wants to know, when is the next mucus-free life jam session?
So it'll be Ehret Day, and I was gonna invite everybody to it'll be the 4th annual Professor Arnold Ehret Day celebration, which will be July 30th and 31st in Columbus, Ohio, and tickets will go on sale probably about this weekend. Or probably around Saturday or Sunday. If you want to get the email to know about that, sign up for my newsletter. You can find that if you click through to my channel, and to sign up, do there's like the free recipes. It'll say like get your free recipes and kind of thing. So yeah, do that. But yeah, we always have a jam session. I mean, there's live music that's on Saturday, but then we always do like a get together, mucus-free jam on Sunday, which is in the park, and so that's always a lot of fun. And so yeah, that'll be the next official mucus-free jam is going to be that Sunday 31st at the Air Day celebration.
Amazing. Thank you so much. You brought up the Orion urine thing before, and so we got a lot of questions now.
Uh-oh.
Okay. They want to know specifically, I mean, you kind of answered it already. You said because it is waste, but can you please tell everyone why you do not personally recommend that kind of therapy yourself?
Yeah, so if we were like, if I was on my PC and it wasn't, and I was able to like share my screen or bring up the passage in the book, I would do that to show you like where there's a few different times in the Mucus Diet book where he mentions the urine, and what happens to it as you start to clean yourself and detox. When your kidneys aren't filtering well and you're just kind of eating whatever, and then yeah, your urine is probably going to be all clear and whatever. But when you're really living this life and your kidneys are functioning optimally, then it's going to be rancid, the stuff that you're filtering out. So what should be what people are doing, which I haven't seen in a while, several years ago, this was popular to do, where people that were fasting or detoxing, they would put their urine in a like a mason jar, and then if you let it sit for like an hour, if you're really filtering well, the bottom there'll be like an inch worth of slime, of just like cloudy, mucus, looks like mucus drizzle powder stuff in the bottom. That's or sediment is the proper word. That's what you want. I'm not drinking sediment. Why would I, to me, you can't convince me that mucus waste sediment is something that is beneficial to us. Because if you really want to just do a lemon juice fast, do a grape juice fast. Like if we want liquid, if you want to do, because one of the brilliant things that Arnold Ehret mentioned in the Mucus Diet book, where he talks about camouflaged fasts. So oftentimes when people appear to heal themselves using things that would confuse us, we would be like, somebody does a milk fast. That's old school. That's like Arnold Ehret mentioned that. They rebranded it and then called it like a slim fast years later, or like the Ensure and all that kind of stuff. Those are all basically milk fasts. It's not good, but when people heal off of it, it's a camouflaged fast. There's still a principle of getting rid of the solid food and getting on liquid. Even if the liquid is something that you shouldn't be putting in your body, you can actually still heal yourself from things. But instead of blaming it, it's like, so when the urine drinking people, if they fast on urine, they're like, man, I healed myself of something. It's like, yeah, but you could have healed yourself and been less acidic with grape juice, fresh grape juice, or lemons, or that kind of thing. And so that's actually an interesting section for people to study out of the book when he talks about camouflage fasting, because that also happens in the hospitals when people are laying there in a coma or kind of out of it, and they're pumping something in them. They always like, oh well, they have this feeding tube and that's what's keeping them alive. It's like that's slowing down their elimination, but what's actually keeping them alive is their body. They're in a camouflage fast. They're fasting, and it's you, and that amazes me that they haven't figured that out. Like people that work with these people every day, as I've talked to nurses and doctors and things that in hospitals that when I told them that, I'm like, well, And now because I had family members, unfortunately, that's been in there, and I'll be like, well, you know, this person, they're in an induced coma, you know, like that propofol type of thing. And I'm like, well, you realize they're fasting, right? Like, do you understand? Like you're fasting. You're fasting them. You're using drugs that keep them under while their body repairs itself, and you're giving them just liquid, you know, intravenously. You realize that's a fast, right? They have no clue what I'm talking about. I'm like, all right, cool, all right, good, whatever.
Yeah, next.
But even in those facilities, when somebody heals, fasting's involved. You know, it's just camouflage. They don't look at it like that.
I love that term. Yeah, camouflage fasting, absolutely. Because the body works, there's a certain way it works. And it won't work if we just keep putting the stuff in, you know, if we don't give it the chance. Okay, so Heelnin, you had a lot of questions. I'm going to ask one more from you. They are confused. They asked, so how do I filter my kidneys well, please? I've been raw vegan for years, intermittent fasting, lots of juicing, 9 months of liquid only, mostly coconut water. Please help.
Well, so I guess you feel as if your kidneys aren't filtering well.
Yeah.
And I've seen where, and I know a lot of folks don't like it in the raw folks, but I've seen instances where people needed to hit the reset button and eat some cooked mucus-free foods. And it's like, so, you know, not all cooked foods is created equal. Because I've seen people they'll try to compare like cooked meat to cooked vegetable, you know, it's just like, no, it's not, or a cooked mucus-free vegetable. And so I've seen that help with where people, you sort of take that step back, slow your elimination down, and you always combine it with raw. You know, so if you have some kind of, you know, steamed vegetables like steamed greens or something, kale, collard greens, whatever, and you with a big raw salad, like that can help. I've just seen that kind of reset people's system a little bit. There's other things you can get into if you haven't yet, as far as, because what I've seen is there's the people that have tried to do it like all with detox, and they just keep hitting it, and they'll get the herbs and the kidney formulas and all that kind of stuff, and it's still not breaking loose. And that's when I've seen people benefit from getting into some of the cooked mucus-free greens, where it just gives the body a chance to just sort of balance itself out. But it is the kind of thing that does take a while. If you have weak kidneys, they do take a while to heal sometimes and to get the filtering properly again. But once they break loose, then it's on, you know, and you start noticing, like, every time you urinate, it's like it smells really bad, and it's like okay, good, I'm removing my waste.
Yeah, I agree. You know, it probably didn't take them 9 months to get sick. So it's going to take, what do you say about that? Because I once read that it takes double the amount of time sometimes it takes double the amount of time to cleanse that it took to, pollute the body. What do you say about that? Or it depends on what they're doing?
It depends on the person. And that's why it's hard to quantify time. You know, people like to try to ask, they're like, yeah, what about, how long is this going to take or that going to take? In the way that I've kind of just solved that problem was to just think in terms of lifestyle, and transition is a lifestyle where I'm just going down this road, and the body, there's a body intelligence that essentially deals with what it wants to deal with when it wants to deal with it. And so, yeah, so in that case, and I like to try to generally have people thinking more long term, because to put things into perspective, I say study. One thing that's interesting to do is to study the history of your stomach. You know, study in terms of, I mean, that's one of the best things if you do get into like the DNA things, and you can look at your ancestry and all that kind of stuff, is study the history of the diet of your ancestors, near and far, because you have to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
And so some of us, depending on your ancestry, it's going to dictate your cravings. You'll have some people have different cravings than other people. I mean, I went through a period where I was craving food that I'd never eaten before. I'm like, why do I crave buffalo? I've never had buffalo.
What?
I'm not even supposed to know what that tastes like, but all of a sudden it only lasted for a couple days, and I started doing a bunch of enemas, and this was like way in the beginning of practicing a diet. But that showed me that realization where it's like, man, we are removing our ancestral waste.
How do you
and
you're craving buffalo if you never had it? I'm just curious.
It's just a weird experience. I mean, just like where you wake up one day and you feel like you're seeing a buffalo, your mouth starts to water, and you feel like you want to kill one and eat it. I mean, it's a weird, but that's what I'm saying. You're going back in time in terms of physiologically, you're going back in time. And, and you can have some when you're really doing this, you'll have interesting experiences like that, where things that you don't really, unless you read one of our books, you don't, you're not going to see a lot of that stuff in the books, and people don't really talk about a lot of that stuff. Because what I've also noticed with some of the so-called like guru people, or just folks that talk about in the raw food space in particular, they don't talk a lot about their early part of their transition, and they try to talk about everything they did after that. And I'm like, no, I want to hear about the transition part, like the early, like before you were 100% raw, like what was that? And because those stories are interesting. And but yeah, it all takes time, and it depends. Like for people, if you get into the enemas, there's certain things that you can speed up the process a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely take some time.
Do you have any tips for us on how to break the addiction to the extremely mucus-forming foods that our ancestors ate, that we have eaten our whole lives? What are some tips that you can help people with breaking the addiction?
I mean, really, I'm just such an advocate for practicing the transition, and going through the transition diet, and to study it. And that was one thing where people, and I've put out a lot of content and a lot of courses and things that they help with that, because sometimes people would read the book and then they'll be like, well, because it doesn't just put everything out on a silver platter. It's like you got to do a little work, like to try to understand it. But when you do, you start to see the brilliance of the methodology of the transition, and you understand that you can continue to apply those principles on a higher level as you get cleaner and cleaner, as you stop eating certain things and you move up the ladder. You can still use those principles of transition, and it's just you're doing it at a higher scale. But yeah, in terms of tips, I mean, it depends on where you're at, and where you're coming from. Sometimes I find it's like easier when you're dealing with somebody that's coming from the worst diet, because then it's easy. It's like, okay, all right, just do your enema. If you need to have some processed vegan stuff, throw that in there. Get your salad, your vegetables, that kind of stuff. And that's okay, because that's another thing. People are surprised where I'm like, there is a place for those things. There's a place for that. And today it's a lot easier than even it was 20 years ago, because there are cleaner processed food options that you can use. The key is a mentality of knowing, like, okay, I'm not using this forever. I'm gonna use this, for the shortest period of time needed, but don't feel guilty if you need to use it. And so that's the difference. It's when you're looking at it long term, it's like, it's not the end of the world if you have a protein instead of, these days, like the soy is out of fashion, but like the protein, pea protein burger, or some kind of thing or whatever. It's like, it's not the end of the world. That's if it's a legitimate craving and you're not, you just, some of those things can be used as tools, like very temporarily. But don't be guilty, feel guilty about it. Use it, do your enema, keep eating your fruits and vegetables, and before you know it, you're not gonna want that stuff anymore. Your body's not gonna be able to tolerate it. And that, for me, is an important aspect, is you want to remove the willpower thing. It's like, use willpower for the things that you actually have control over. So there is some willpower, say like the discipline to do your enemas regularly, or if you're doing them, however much you do them. People in our community, some of them do them like every day. And I know people say, oh, every day, well, isn't that unnatural? The pus and mucus eating is unnatural. We're trying to, put things around, 180 degrees from that. But there's a lot of different techniques that you can use in terms of just the early parts of the transition. But the main thing is just dealing with the transition. And eventually you get to the point where physically you're unable to handle eating the things that you're not supposed to eat.
Yep. I can't say it better than that. And that is the fact. When you were talking, it actually clicked in my head that, we cannot tolerate these foods anymore. And that means we don't want them anymore. And it's interesting because it's almost the same with like toxic people in our lives, or like a toxic environment. We start to not be able to tolerate it anymore. And so we don't want to be in a relationship with a toxic person, or we don't want to work at a toxic job, or we don't want to smoke these toxic cigarettes. We just don't want them anymore because we can't tolerate them. The healthier you get, the less you can tolerate unhealthy things in your life, not just food, the environment, the cigarettes, the alcohol, the job you hate,
right,
the people that are toxic. Okay, so we have reached the top of the hour. I'm going to ask one more question from my friend 40, but I do want to say for Heilnin, I would highly recommend you check out Professor Spira's resources, his book. You have a lot of great questions that I could not get to. I would also recommend that you, because he or she was talking a lot about the color of their urine, and like they're doing a lot of fasting. I would recommend you take Professor Spira's advice and maybe take a step back, perhaps, in your journey, because it's all about how you feel. It's not really about the color of your urine and if it's filtering properly. How do you feel? How do you feel right now? If you feel good, don't worry so much about those other things, but check out his resources. They will really help you. Okay, 40 wants to know if walking is a good form of exercise to help him through the transition to being raw vegan. I'm guessing he's asking, is walking beneficial for like the detox process?
Oh, absolutely. Walking is beautiful, and that's one of the things that Eric talks about in the mucus diet. Walking. Dancing is also in the mucus diet book. Is something that you should do, like regularly. Dance, walk, hike. If you're in the mountains, or swimming. He doesn't mention swim, but that's great. Anything like that is great. The stretching, just physical activity. It doesn't have to be really harsh. I'm not an advocate unless you're passionate about it and that's what you're into. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. You don't have to go and be in pain when you leave the gym and sore and that whole culture. I come out of that because from high school as a varsity athlete. So you just stay sore your whole life. You're sore. Wow. You don't have to do that. But it's good to just, if you hit the weights a little bit, just that kind of stuff, and just keeping because people are always surprised that I'm not like withering away. I'm not withering away. I'm in the gym, and people don't know I'm any different from anybody. They're just, it's like it doesn't have to be like that. It's like because some of this stuff is in people's heads. We get this stuff in our heads where it has to be like it's going to be a certain way, and the protein myth, which we already annihilated that whole thing, and and it's just like no, but to answer that's question specific. Yeah, walking is great. Yeah, walk as much as is comfortable for you, and wonderful to do that.
Yeah, 40, thank you so much for being here. And okay, thank you so much, Professor. I want to do another episode with you all on sugar so we can annihilate the sugar nonsense.
Yeah, yeah, we gotta put that to bed because that's just a ridiculous. That's really ridiculous. That's a really ridiculous one. And yeah, we can get into that guy every once in a while. That stupid video of that doctor pops up, and it's like the I forget the name of it, but it's basically this quintessential anti-sugar dissertation. Like it's one of the most popular anti-sugar videos on YouTube. That
Are we talking about,
uh, what's that?
is that his name, Dr. Gunthree?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't,
Yeah, that might be that one, but yeah, we'll go through all that and we'll just destroy all that stupidity of because it's pretty simple, but but again they never explain it like that. It's just like okay, all right, fine.
yeah, that's how you know it's truth, when it's simple. The truth is simple, and that's what hit me when I read Arnold Ehret's work. It was like I was drawn to it because it's so simple, and if you can't explain something simply, then you don't know it. And so I love your book, and I recommend everybody please go check out Professor Spear's resources and the book and his courses. It will really help you to simplify your diet, your health, and your life. And thank you so much, Professor Spira. I appreciate you, driving, making it happen
Yeah, yeah,
in the storm.
yeah, yeah.
I love you.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Yeah. I didn't forget. We just lost power and things got crazy out here. So yeah, I'll go back see if we have electricity. And but that's always a good lesson too. Is because I always try to stay prepared for whatever comes. And so it's like one of those things where it's like the hottest that it's been ever, and then the electricity's going out. So it's like along with all of the inflation and the recession and all that, it's like it's all fun. It's all going to hit at once, and so you got to be ready. You got to be ready.
So you don't have to get ready. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you stay ready. Okay, thank you so much, Spira. I appreciate you. I really, really appreciate your time. And we will do this again. Thank you so much, everyone who's here. And we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Peace, love, and breath.